arrived where we all want to be. You have stepped into eternity.
This is our first update. It's from the hospital on November 6, 2024. On Monday, November 4th, Hannah accidentally swallowed just one bite of a brownie that was made with peanut flour. She ran back to her dorm and immediately began to throw up and to break out with hives. She had some swelling around her mouth and complained of pain over her entire body. When she stopped throwing up several minutes later, she called us, and we remained on the phone with her until we arrived at her dorm room about 45 minutes later. While we were driving, we also notified a family friend who is a nurse in the area, and she arrived well before we did. A little bit of Benadryl was given to help with this initial reaction, and a few minutes later, her mom was at her side and things seemed to be going much better. Hannah then was frustrated and embarrassed, and she climbed up into her bed on the top bunk and lay down on her stomach to rest. Then she rolled onto her side, but when she did this, she curled up and began to experience more intense pain, and now she had shortness of breath. She told her mom where her EpiPen was, then began to climb down out of her bed. While coming down the ladder, she lost consciousness and became unresponsive before reaching the ground. The first EpiPen was immediately administered and 911 was called. She was then carried down to the first floor where I picked her up and I carried her outside. I held her upright in my arms and she faced me. I was telling her I loved her and that things would be okay and that we were there until EMTs arrived a few moments later. She was taken into the ambulance with a thready pulse and soon was unable to breathe. Once inside, she was given a second EpiPen, but her heart stopped for about 4 minutes until EMS staff was able to get it going again. They inserted an airway tube and they transported her to the Watertown Hospital only a few minutes away, but there were still complications. The doctors at the hospital took immediate action, but there was difficulty raising her blood oxygen level. She required transport to a larger hospital as soon as possible. Arrangements were made for her to go to Froedtert Hospital in Milwaukee. The Froedtert staff asked for initial imaging and blood work to be done while transportation was still being arranged. After an hour in the emergency room, an X-ray finally showed that her right lung had collapsed. The doctors immediately inserted a chest tube to reinflate it. She was then heavily sedated and given an additional medication to paralyze her. Due to the rainy weather that night, a medical helicopter was not an option, so a private ambulance had to be found to transport her, but it took an hour for them to arrive, and then another hour to prep her before they left Watertown. While in transport to Milwaukee, she began experiencing seizures, and when she arrived at Froedtert, thorough medical testing was immediately performed by their vast and amazing staff. Medications were given, and she was put into a deep coma in an attempt to prevent more seizures, relax her body, and allow her brain a chance to heal. Although her body was not able to seize, the EEG showed that her brain was still trying to seize multiple times throughout the day on Tuesday. More medication was added and more adjustments were made to prevent her brain from seizing further. This has helped, and the neurology team is now pleased with the improvement. She remains on a ventilator with oxygen, 9 IV bags of medication, a feeding tube, a chest tube, and constant live EEG monitoring of her brain activity. Imaging has shown no specific physical damage to the brain yet, but the MRI after 48 hours will be the first and most comprehensive test to initially determine her brain status. Then they will attempt to lower her medication and try to bring her brain back up online once her medical team deems her strong enough to try this. The true condition of her brain and its ability to function properly is far from clear. The damage is not yet visible to imaging. Sorry, this is such a brief, hurried attempt to explain the situation as we know it. We greatly appreciate the kind thoughts and prayers of all our friends and family. We thank you. Hannah thanks you. We look forward to providing further updates as they happen. The Lord is in control, and He has a plan for each of us.
Thank you for the years of life you shared with us. Thank you for the years we cherish every moment, and though it's hard to let you go, we believe and we still know that every hour we spent was time that heaven sent us with you. Thanks for the years. You've arrived where we all want to be. You have stepped into eternity, and while we grieve that you are gone, your precious life in us lives on. And while it feels like life is wrong, your memory gives life to a song. Thank you for the years of life you shared with us. Thank you for the years we cherish every moment, and though it's hard to let you go, we believe and we still know that every hour we spent was time that heaven sent us with you. Thanks for the years. Thank you for the years of life you shared with us. Thank you for the years we cherish every moment, and though it's hard to let you go, we believe and we still know that every hour we spent was time that heaven sent us